I mean, we certainly see that with quartz, naturally occurring
Yes.
quartz.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, and you only have to look at the makeup of the basin to see. If you look at it from above, it looks like there has been a massive impact. For them to say that now we're finding huge deposits of this particular mineral, I think it's fascinating.
So yeah, for those of you not familiar with where we're talking about in Skinwalker Ranch, it is right here. It is just south of the Wyoming border, that far western corner that touches Utah. You can see how close it is to Denver. And for those of you who have never been in this part of the country, you see all the green and the beauty in the mountains over there, the Rockies around Denver. That area over there of southern Wyoming and northern Utah is very deserty. It's very classically Western movie where you get these huge limestone bluffs, and you can see not only that, but what appears to be significant water erosion that occurred on the whole landscape from something that, in my opinion, again, happened as a result of either an asteroid impact or a major event with the sun 12,000 years ago. But it's just important to understand where we're talking about.
It looks incredible, and I would love to get a really good look at this landscape, because as you say, it's almost primordial looking. This is landscape that really hasn't changed very much in the history, and it's interesting to see how close it is actually to Denver, because obviously we know that Denver has a kind of woo-woo connection as well with their rather weird airport.
Yes, which we're going to do a show on that as well. The other thing to know about Denver is it is also a major hub of weapons development for the United States military. Not a lot of people may know that, but there's a lot going on out there.
Absolutely. Just leading on from that fantastic picture that you just showed, I thought we could show a kind of satellite overhead view of the makeup of the basin that Skinwalker Ranch is set in, and you can see the kind of almost the way the mountain range encloses around it. It's a fascinating setting to be in, and if I remember correctly, it's quite a deep valley where this ranch is situated.
You can see just by the shading and sort of the highlights of the satellite imagery what we're talking about here. I mean, that is some rough, rugged terrain around there. And again, for those of you who have not been to Wyoming, Montana, I highly recommend visiting. But you will see some of these areas have the most beautiful snow-capped mountains that are absolutely gorgeous and lush with rivers running through it. And other areas are like the desert with these unbelievable ancient looking limestone buttes that just are there for hundreds and hundreds of miles. It is just basically buffalo grass and sandy soil. That's a lot of what we're looking at here with that area where this is located.
Yeah, you can almost imagine dinosaurs walking around this landscape. It's incredible.
Yeah. You can see the patterns. You can see where there's water, you can see where there's agriculture, but you can also see these impact sites and just some really rugged terrain. And if you look toward the upper left part of the picture, you can almost see what looks like blast patterns or deep carved things that are occurring in a landscape that does not receive a lot of precipitation. So it's like some type of trauma occurred here.
Yes, this is almost like glacial melt, that this place would have been covered in ice and it just suddenly melted and eroded away. But as far as I'm aware, that wasn't the case. There were no glaciers in this particular area. So where did the water come from?
Well, that's the thing. And that's what goes back to a lot of people talking about what happened about 12,000 years ago, because all that water went somewhere and it raced all the way down from Montana through Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Utah, and came all the way out into the Gulf of Mexico. So what we have here is a shot that is very much in the same region of Utah with Skinwalker Ranch. And you can, of course, at the top of the screen, see the Rocky Mountains that are present there. But why this shot is up is because, as we mentioned, Skinwalker Ranch in that entire area has extraordinarily high concentrations of gilsonite, which occurs when there are asteroidal impacts. Now, they're actually mining operations, but you get an idea of the kind of landscape that surrounds Skinwalker Ranch. I don't know, Purple, I'm sure you don't have views like this in the UK. What do you think and what do you see just looking at something like this?
I think this is fascinating. This is a landscape that, as you say, we don't have over here. So it is incredible to see just these vast open plains. And I know you mentioned that there are pockets of forest and rivers and things, but to see this just vast vista of open land is incredible. And you can see, as you say, with the mountains in the background, the way this is formed in the basin.
And, people are going to ask, well, what is gilsonite? Doesn't it occur naturally? Well, I'm not a biologist, so I guess I can't tell you what a woman is, but I'm also not a mineralogist. But this is what gilsonite looks like in its raw form. Now, look at the threads of that. Look at the composition of this thing. I know it's kind of trippy because it looks like something we would have seen in an X-File episode, but this just has a weird kind of a vibe to it.
You know what that looks like to me? Have you ever seen slag glass? When
yes,
that's what it looks like. It looks like it's been superheated, like from a impact. You might say.
You don't say. You sound like a conspiracy theorist. We've been talking about all these crazy minerals, all these things from outer space and ancient, asteroidal impacts. This article I pulled up because it covers what I've been trying to so poorly say, which is Skinwalker Ranch and the connection to gilsonite.
This is something that, to begin with, when we were first getting the reports about Skinwalker Ranch, this mineral was never talked about. So it is incredible to find out that this deposit is underneath and has been this whole time.
What's fascinating about this article is it just came out in June of last year, almost July. So this is about 8-9 months old. They were always looking for explanations as to why strange activity was occurring in certain places, and they talk about using EMF detectors, which are electromagnetic frequency detectors, animals being trapped in walls, making all kinds of sounds, walkie-talkies getting static and stuff like that. They couldn't really explain that. But sometimes the natural minerals, the elements, the composition of the soil seem to be enhancing what appeared to be a paranormal experience. And that is why, especially when it comes to Skinwalker Ranch, gilsonite seems to be such a big deal. This Dr. Travis Taylor talked about one particular environmental trait, and I didn't realize Skinwalker Ranch, it's a big ranch. It's over 500 acres. And again, it sits upon Utah's Intua Basin. And that particular characteristic is that it is, again, littered with gilsonite, which again is a substance that is typically associated with meteor impacts.
My mind is absolutely reeling with this because, as you say, this doesn't just bring in people who are interested in, the more out there and esoteric things. This brings in, very serious-minded people like geologists and mineralists and people that, generally are not as well known for having wild flights of fancy and crazy imaginations. But this is fascinating, and as we were saying, I would be really interested to see where the deposits are located and if they correlate with certain things that have been witnessed. So say things like the orbs, do they correlate with a particularly large deposit of this mineral?
Look at this quote, again from the same doctor. It says, there are a lot of geologists and natural physicists who are now beginning to think that impact craters cause a phenomenon that creates petroleum. That is a whole other show. That is a whole other show. My mind is blown just reading this. So they're saying that not only could asteroids have been responsible for mass extinction events here on the planet, they could have also created the very fuel and a substance which is used in plastics and throughout all of our life, and that was because of asteroidal impacts. But in this case, again, we're talking about creating the circumstances where some type of harmonic resonance is being created here, Purple.
Absolutely, and if anybody knows, the composite of petroleum, people think it goes back to the age of the dinosaurs when they were wiped out. So to have this, and obviously one of the most widely regarded reasons that dinosaurs did die out is asteroid impact. So to have these two correlate as well, I think is fascinating.
Yeah, that map that we looked at originally, this just validates exactly what we were saying. We weren't just making it up. Look at, again, the quote from this geologist says, if you look at this impact crater, the ranch is dead center, give or take, but it's pretty much dead center.
It is in the shape of a bowl, and what is the most likely thing to cause a bowl-like dip in terrain? It is an impact.
Yeah, and this geologist goes on to say the basin of this, or the net, is a nexus for whatever activity might be going on. And that's the crazy part. There's this huge ranch, you've got this impact site, but it's not like everybody's neighbors, it's a 500-acre ranch. Okay, that's a sizable plot, but it's not like other neighbors are going, you know what, I got UFOs and cryptids and dire wolves and strange orbs. No, it's only on Skinwalker Ranch here in Utah.
Yes. And if I remember correctly, this place was chosen as a ranch because it was so remote. He wanted the land because he was a cattle farmer, Sherman. So that makes sense, that there isn't as many neighbours around. I mean, can you imagine if this was a widely populated area, what weirdness would be going on?
And this is the other fascinating part. It's not like gilsonite is just everywhere. The material's actually one of the oldest mined substances in the state of Utah. In fact, Utah is the only place where gilsonite is economically produced in large enough quantities. Again, not according to some WOOWOO journal, but this is the State of Utah Geological Survey. Interesting.
It's fascinating.
Going back to what Lakatsky said, and I quote, people say, well, we're only going to look at the nuts and bolts machines. Well, you better come up with a lot more physics. It's far more advanced than what we're capable of now. Again, defense analyst Lakatsky. Like we looked at with gilsonite, this is a substance which is in concentration only in one place in North America, and it happens to be smack dab located in the same impact crater that Skinwalker Ranch seems to be sitting in. Are we making a stretch here? I really don't think so. Sometimes we don't need to make things as complicated as they need to be. Occam's razor is sometimes the best answer.
Looking at the nuts and bolts, I think you can kind of get lost. Keep it simple, definitely, and look at what is, the facts. So the facts is we have a huge concentration of a particular mineral that is known to come from asteroid impacts. We have a basin that looks like it's been hit by an asteroid or a meteorite, and we have multiple very serious science-minded people and regular people as well reporting very, very strange things within this particular area.
And again, this comes from Lakatsky, says, quote, and there are others who say, well, it's nothing more than ghosts, part of the paranormal world. No, they're a hybrid of both. We've got physics we can't explain, things that we're not capable of understanding right now, coupled with, we call it ghosts, the paranormal world, and then it's a hybrid of machine, technology, physics, things that we apparently cannot explain yet, but they're occurring. And is gilsonite part of this? I would say it would be foolhardy to say that it's not.
Yes, I would absolutely agree. I think it's just part of a much bigger picture that we're only just starting to see. It's like putting a jigsaw together. We've got some of the pieces, but we haven't got all of them yet, so we can't see what the truth is just yet. But I think if we have more people come forward and more things declassified, which looks like it's going to be the case, I'd be fascinated to see how far this goes.
It's only because somebody decided to put a ranch there that the indigenous peoples, the Utes and the Navajo out there in Utah, warned them there was something there. And in their own cultural stories and way of talking about things and relating it through allegory based upon their experience, they knew that it was not good, that you did not want to be there, that it was cursed ground. What were they seeing for generations that they could not articulate, that they had to form story or allegory around? All of these things, are they connected? I think so. I think they're part of a layer of our reality that maybe a lot of people, for whatever reason, we don't have that attunement anymore. Maybe our ancestors who existed before that, in my opinion, catastrophic event that erased the surface of North America and changed the entire climate of the planet, whatever that event was. I think these things are out there. I think there's a lot of complexity to this. And I do think that there are agencies or people with a lot of money who are very interested in not having us plebes learn about what's really going on, and that maybe our place in the universe is a lot larger and more encompassing and more important as an individual human being than maybe they want us to realize. But that's just me. It is encouraging what you say, Purple, because in December of 2021, here in the United States, the National Defense Authorization Act included legislation to establish office, organizational structure, and authorities to address unidentified aerial phenomena.
Yes, and this is very significant because, as you know, in the past it's always been frowned upon, it's been classified. Anybody that came forward with these sort of experiences were kind of ridiculed, especially if they were within the military, and if you weren't, you were just seen as some crackpot to make a quick buck off a story that you knew would sell to the tabloids. But there is the idea, and you were talking about it, that we actually evolved ourselves because we had to. It was almost a forced evolution that humans went through because of some cataclysmic event that we don't remember as a species. And we know that there used to be other hominid species out there. It just happens to be that Homo sapien was the one that succeeded.
I think it's fascinating because, again, this December 2021 National Defense Authorization Act, obviously it's focused on defense from threats like those from Russia and China, but also quotes the strange object glimpsed by troops and military equipment are part of a mysterious phenomena that stretches back decades or perhaps throughout human history. Fascinating. This seems like an admission to me.
Pretty much, that's exactly what I was thinking. Pretty much everything they said was, oh, it was a weather balloon, it was swamp gas, it was a test that we were doing. Yeah, probably not. It was, it probably was most likely not of this world.
Purple, I agree with you. And again, it's not because I need to make stories up. It's just the world is a lot more complex than a lot of us understand. I think seeing that Tic Tac video and seeing the Department of Defense actually acknowledge that it's real, that's only one story. And this thing with Skinwalker Ranch, that's just what we know about. What else is going on out there that we have yet to find out about?
Exactly, yeah. This is just the tip of the iceberg, quite literally, when it comes to this. It's like, what else is going to be declassified? What else is going to be admitted that, actually, yeah, that did happen. And we've got stories from all over the world as well. We've got stories from the UK that are starting to be declassified as well. Places in Canada, in Australia.
Oh, yeah.
So this isn't just one localized little hotspot of strangeness. This is worldwide, and thousands of people have had very, very strange encounters that they can't explain.
And this isn't somebody with a Polaroid camera throwing a silver pie plate across their backyard saying it's a UFO. This is Skinwalker Ranch that the United States Department of Defense committed men, material, and intelligence to, as well as a millionaire who put, I thought it was $80 million into the research project. Of course, Robert Bigelow. They were there looking for something, and I think they found something. It may not have been what they expect, and they may not even know what the hell it is, but I think they found something. So we are going to have many good shows, you guys. Just stick with us. This is our flagship. This was our maiden voyage of what is still called the WOOWOO Show. In the comments section, please, if you have good ideas, if you have a really catchy title, we absolutely will look at it and potentially use it. And whoever gives us a really good title that we use, I will go ahead and send you one of the coffee cups. We have made coffee cups with this show logo for this on it, and you will get that as a gift from Purple, myself, and Zax. So you all have a lot to look forward to. Purple, as ever, an honor. Absolutely loved your takes. You taught me things. You gave me perspectives I didn't have. I know the audience feels the same. So cheers to you.
Well, thank you. I cannot wait to do more of these, and it was an absolute pleasure to get to do this with you and with Zach. So thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Please, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it out on social media. Please leave a comment. We look forward to seeing you next time. has ever. This is Salty Texas Sea. I am Corey DB. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you've seen and heard, please hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed, I'd love to have you on board. That way you know, and we have things like live streams, which we are now going to be doing every Tuesday evening. Take care. I hope you're having a great 2022.